Please rise. First order is the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3 is the invocation offered by Commissioner Zinner.
Dear Lord, thank you for your everlasting love, generous mercy, and needed guidance. Please put your hand over this board, the people here, and in Macomb County. Help us to make decisions that will be pleasing in your eyes, and may we always give you the glory. Amen.
Amen. Item number 4 is adoption of the agenda. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Support.
Also, today I want to welcome the Junior Macomb group here today with us, so welcome, and we'll be talking to all of you later in the meeting. Motion's been made and supported. Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 5 is approval of the minutes dated September 30th, 2021. Need a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved by Nard.
Support Wallace.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Very good, thank you. Item 6 is public participation. It's the first opportunity for public participation for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes in any item on this agenda today. There'll be a second opportunity at the end of the agenda to speak on any subject you like also for 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to be heard under public participation, you can step forward to the microphone and state your name. Anyone wish to be heard under public participation? Please come forward, you state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, my name is Kevin Owen. I'm here on items 15, H, I, and J. I am an attorney. I represent Quatran of Michigan. I sent each of you a letter this week that included some pleadings from a court case. And the reason I'm here today is because one of these items that you have. Oh. Do I need to start over? You guys okay?
Well, I heard you. Go
So
ahead.
one of the items that you guys have on your agenda today is about contracting with a new information services or data services provider for the 42nd District Courts. The comments that were made at the commission meeting prior to this were egregiously wrong, and that's why we're here. So one of the main items that was said was, well, we're concerned about future data loss. Well, why? Has there been any future data loss that you've experienced? I'm not aware of any. My client's not aware of any. We don't have any issues with the 42nd District Court or any of our courts in terms of lost data. Another issue that came up at that meeting was that they were extremely concerned about the regular and frequent cutoff of access to data and Quatran's system, and that the system was randomly shut down. When? It's simply not true. That has never happened with the 42nd District Court. You might have a blip or something that happens because of technology. That's going to happen everywhere. But Quatran has never shut off services to the 42nd District Court. So you're being asked to make a decision to change and end a 30-year history based upon false statements. And that's not fair to Quatran. Quatran has been with the 42nd District Court 30 plus years, and it's been uninterrupted services. And so what we're asking is that you guys take a moment and hit your pause button before you make a decision. Look into what you're being asked to vote on and why you're being asked to vote on it. Because you are not being told the full story. I've put together in my letter.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Some of the court papers, and I didn't attach all the exhibits to them because it was over 300 pages and there's no way on God's green earth that anybody's going to read that in 2 days before this meeting. But I'm happy to send them to you upon request so you can see what actually transpired during that litigation. Because Quadtran was actually the victim there, even though they've been made to be the villain. What happened, and I'm going to give you a quick abbreviated timeline what happened before the lawsuit. Friday, July 24th, Quadtran receives a counter proposal, the first time that they've received a counter proposal from the city of Warren for their contract. The vote for city council is the following Tuesday. So 3 o'clock on Friday the 24th, they get this offer. Why doesn't Quadtran like it? Well, it has terms in it that would require Quadtran to map its system, provide out
You have 30
relationships,
seconds. 30
provide out
seconds.
relationships for how the different screens communicate. That's all Quadtran's proprietary information. And then they want Quadtran to train their provider, the successor provider, on how to do those services and integrate that data into the successor's system. No reasonable company would have ever done that. And I'm happy to answer any questions and go in further detail about the litigation, because I'm sure there's some questions. So if there's anything I can do to answer any questions, to give you more information, please let me know. And again, we're here to ask today, hit the pause button, make a decision based upon true and accurate information in front of you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else under public participation? Anyone under public participation wish to be heard? One last time, anyone want to come to speak under public participation on any item on this agenda? Seeing none, we'll close public participation. Item 7 is a public hearing. Public hearing on Resolution 2021-6146, a resolution and order of determination approving the Village of Romeo's petition for the annexation of property from the Township of Armada. We have Frank Crecia here. Frank, you give us an overview of this issue?
Yes, Commissioner. This is a public hearing required by statute, I believe MCL 74.6. The Village of Romeo has petitioned this board to approve annexation of a parcel of property in Armada Township. I have given notice of the parties, and there are people here from Armada Township, there are people here from the village, and there are people here from the owner. Oh, I don't want to forget Clark and the owner. They're back there. So they're all present, and we've handled one of these recently, I think a few years ago. This for the property just south of this, which I think was Ray Township, not Armada. This property is in Armada Township. It's immediately north of the area that was previously annexed. So we originally got this petition last year, and I had some legal issues with it. It created what's called an enclave, an island of township within the proposed annexed area. So we spent some time. I talked to the state of Michigan, which oversees all this. After we review it, if this board approves it, then goes to the state for review. The state said, yeah, we agree with you, there's an issue with that. I went back to the parties, and they resolved that by creating a peninsula of township property so there's no island anymore. So that issue was resolved. I reviewed all of the other legal criteria for this annexation. I believe it meets all of the legal criteria to be approved, but that's, of course, within this commission's discretion under the statute. So that's been presented. I think since this is a public hearing, you should give the parties a chance to address you with their positions on this. And then after that, any questions throughout?
A procedural question, Mr. Attorney. How long should our public participation's 3 minutes? What's the order for allowing the participants to participate?
Well,
is there any guidance you could offer?
Yeah, usually when they start repeating themselves, and if they're taking too long covering a point, but I think we've submitted the plans and everything, so they're reviewed, so they don't need to go over that before. We also went over this at committee and presented the plans. So this is basically, and by the way, I went out, and one thing I learned from Paul O'Reilly when I used to work there, and they represent the owner's firm, and in fact, the township is represented by somebody I worked with at O'Reilly's many years ago. So, and I know Mark Clark, the attorney for the village. But we all went out and looked at the village and the owner and I went out and looked at the property. So we walked it. And one thing I learned from Paul is you never do anything with property without looking at it. So basically what this is it's a field now, but they're anticipating to build an industrial area on there. And to build the industrial area, they need the facilities or the services provided by the village. Now, you may hear that there's possible, but all their alternatives have been looked at and they failed. And this has been going on for a while. The village had to improve its services because it has large industrial areas in it. And that helps this area improve. So the owner intends on establishing some type of industrial facility. He has a small industrial condo on the site, and he plans on expanding that, or expanding it to, and industrial, of course, will create jobs. So I walked it. The area involved is basically along a stream that will stay in the township, and the one property in the condo association that will remain is the pond guy. And he just doesn't want it because I guess he's got water because he's the pond guy. But in any event, so the one owner of the property that didn't want to is being accommodated, the pond guy. A parcel of property is being reserved in the township to create so there's no enclave issue. I reviewed the property. I think the split meets all the requirements, and I don't see where any property owner would be harmed by this.
Thank you.
Now, as regard to time, like I said, let's see how long they take, but I don't think it should take long.
All right, very good. All right, we'll open up the public forum.
Well, the petitioner, I think, should go first.
Very good.
Then the owner, if he has anything to comment real quick, and then the township.
Very good.
Everybody agree with that?
Petitioner first, then, please, come forward.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing on Resolution 2021-6146.
Thank
Support
you,
by
Chair
Nard.
Kraft. Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. Commissioner Kleinfeld. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Clark. I represent the Village of Romeo. I listened to the statements made by Mr. Krisha, and I agree with that and all the things that he said. I was one of the people who also walked the property to make sure that I, on behalf of the village, had a sense, a good sense, a thorough sense of what was going on and how this is to be presented. The petition that you have before you was adopted by the Village of Romeo pursuant to a resolution. Initially, there was consideration of this in August of 2020. The petition you have before you and the resolution was in August of this year, August of 2021. And I think it's important at the outset to note that the Village of Romeo is not seeking, it does not go out and ask adjoining property owners or property owners that adjoin the Village of Romeo that are in other communities, hey, would you like to come into the village? The village does not solicit annexation. And technically, as Mr. Krisha mentioned, this is governed by the General Law Village Act, MCL 74.6, and it's actually called a boundary adjustment. The word annexation has different meanings, and the result is an annexation. If you approve this, the property will be annexed into the village. But technically, it's a boundary adjustment, and the village does not go out and seek these things. A little bit of history, and I imagine the township representatives will want to weigh in on this as well. This started many, many years ago in terms of perhaps interest in the sharing of services. The village has sewer, water, fire, police. The village has all the amenities that residents and taxpayers desire. And when I say this started a number of years ago, I'm not talking about the boundary adjustment or the annexation. I'm talking about the sharing of services. It came to a sharper point in 2015. The township, Armada Township, asked if the village would want to sit down, see if there's some way to share services, if the village could provide sewer and water on the east side of Powell Road, Armada Township, where the subject property is located. And there were meetings held, public meetings. There were discussions held. There was an exchange of information, proposals. Ultimately, there was an agreement between the Village of Romeo and Armada Township in 2017. Both communities agreed, here's what we're going to do or try to do going forward. And it allowed for sewer services to be extended into the township. There were some obligations on the part of the township. The township, if it received sewer services, was going to have to pay for those, and it needed to create its own special assessment district to pay for the infrastructure. You got to put the pipes in the ground, you got to connect to the buildings. There was a time frame for that. The township had a year to do that. As that year progressed, it became apparent that the township was not going to be able to fulfill its obligation in terms of the special assessment district and paying for these improvements. And so the township asked, can we have more time? And by the way, once we get this done, we'd like more capacity. That was negotiated, the village agreed. There was an amendment or a second agreement entered into that allowed for an extension of time to provide the service and an increase in the amount of gallons that would be available to Armada Township. It became clear later on during that time period that the township was not going to be able to provide the infrastructure on its side of the road that it needed to provide. And in fact, in March of 2021, the township, and I just want to double check that date. I'm sorry, it was in March of 2020, the township formally decided, its board of trustees decided it wanted to abandon this, and the agreement expired of its own terms. And so the reason I mention all that is because there had been a concerted effort to work this situation where the property would remain fully in the township, but the village would provide the sewer and water services, or sewer services more accurately. And it didn't come to fruition through no fault of the villages. And I'm not ascribing blame to the township. It's just for whatever reason, if it's a policy reason, an economic reason, whatever it might be, the township chose to not pursue this any further. It was after that that the property owner came and said to the village, hey, I can't get the sewer on my side of the street in the way that I expected. Village, would you consider annexation? And so here we are this afternoon. I think the petition is in order. The resolution is proper. Notice of this hearing was published as the statute requires. I think all of the statutory requirements have been met. And as Mr. Krisha explained, there was great attention paid to the details. To make sure that if you approve this, which the village hopes that you will, and we ask you to do that, that there would not be an impediment or some difficulty at the state level. We anticipated, to the extent that we could, problems or issues, and I really appreciate Mr. Krisha's involvement in trying to anticipate issues that might arise at the state level. We think we've addressed all of those, absent something that comes out of the proverbial left field from the state of Michigan. It's the village's position that everything is in order, and we would respectfully ask that you adopt the resolution before you and approve this boundary adjustment. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. The village president, Ms. Malzahn, and the village clerk, Ms. Trapp, are both here, and they can speak or answer questions that you may have. And I very much appreciate your time and your consideration.
Thank you very much. Before we proceed, we also need a motion to open the public hearing technically, so we'll ask for a motion.
We have the motion, Chair, we just
please
need to vote.
We didn't vote.
And that his comments be incorporated in the public
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah.
Thank you.
So please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you very much. Next party can come forward.
Good afternoon, members of the commission, Mr. Krisha and others. My name is Clark Andrews. I'm an attorney with O'Reilly Rensselaer in Sterling Heights. I represent Mr. Chester Zahowski and the companies that he owns that that own the property that's the subject of this annexation. Both Mr. Creasha and Mr. Clark have accurately stated the facts as I understand them. The reason that we are here today is that my client feels that he really needs to have sewer and water services to be able to develop and put to productive use the property that he has there. He has in excess of 75 acres, that much of which isn't being put to productive use at this point, and he needs sewer and water in order to do that. As Mr. Clark has very appropriately stated, efforts were made to try to negotiate an agreement with respect to how that could happen, but it didn't come to fruition. So we are here today requesting that the board approve this resolution of the village to change the boundary as indicated. We believe that all of the legal requirements have been satisfied. Frank accurately indicated that we all walked the property, and we tried to make sure that every I and every was dotted and every T was crossed, because the one that we did in Ray Township at the end of the day was approved, but there was a little bit of a glitch or a hiccup along the way, and we were trying to prevent that from happening this time. Mr. Creasha was very helpful in providing suggestions on how we could address the primary issue that he thought might be raised by the state. The Macomb County land file folks have reviewed the legal descriptions at Mr. Creasha's request. He also asked that we provide a survey of the annex property, which we have done. We knew that it was going to that would be required in connection with a split of the property if this gets approved. So we believe that every legal requirement has been satisfied, and it's in the best interest of the village, the county, and my client to be able to move forward with this. It will mean additional jobs and economic development and tax revenue in this county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next party is welcome to come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Patrick.
A point of clarification, Chairman.
Yes.
Are we allowed to ask questions during this phase?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I had a question on the board for the previous gentleman.
We'll wait till all of them present, and then we'll open questions.
Fair enough, thank you.
Thank you.
This is more than it looks, but it's documentation of all of the facts of what our township has been going through, or has gone through. Good day, my name is John Patrick. I'm supervisor of Maida Township. I'm serving my 4th term, so I've pretty much lived the whole process of this water sewer project from its inception. When I first took office, Bruce Township had made a significant several $1 million investment into the Romeo wastewater treatment plant to improve the plant and increase its capacity for a certain amount of allocated flow to Bruce Township. When Bruce Township started developing its special assessment district, it ran a water main from the 96-inch main on Van Dyke down 33 Mile Road to provide public water. At that time, one of our owners of a subdivision, at the time was called Hidden River, had requested sewer from Bruce Township because several of his properties didn't perk, so he would only be able to put in 12 homes instead of 18 homes or something. So at the time, Jim Tiganelli, the supervisor of Bruce Township, called me and said that we have one of your taxpayers approaching us for sewer. I thought maybe you'd like to sit in on the meeting because he is one of your property owners. At that meeting, I believe it was Mr. Finkelstein that owned the property at the time, put on his case that he wanted to get X amount of flows so that he wouldn't have to abandon the 6 properties or turn them into just green space. He wanted to develop the whole piece of land. They also made a mention at the end that they were installing the water down Powell Road, or down 33 Mile Road, excuse me, I'm nervous. At the time then, it seemed that because Bruce Township was opening up the ground to put in a main, that if we were ever going to get Detroit City water, if you will, Great Lakes water in our township, The time to do it was when the ground was open. So we entered into a partnership on the water program in Bruce Township, and you'll see the list of invoices here. Over the last 11 years, Armada Township's invested $479,000 to try to bring water and sewer to our community. So the goal of that investment was for the next 30 or 40 years. It wasn't for what happens today. We have a 16-inch water main sitting at Powell Road and 33. There's only one customer hooked up to it, Henshaw Automation, who, once he bought the property and developed, found out that there wasn't going to be sewer, but if he wanted to put in water, he'd have to run the water main across his property as per our engineering that we did. And he's done that, and he's the only customer we have. We have an intergovernmental agreement with Bruce Township to supply water. We're an extension, if you will, of their water district. Though they charge the taps, they do the inspections, they charge for the water, they maintenance the pipe and the whole 9 yards. At the same time, they offered to enter into an agreement on sewer to do the same thing. It was Romeo Village at the time that said, no, you can't, because in your contract it says that you can't produce sewage outside of your district. And that's exactly what it says. So Bruce Township's board and Armada Township's board approved entering into a 425, which would do, as Mr. Clark said, do a boundary adjustment and allow our industrial district to be literally Bruce Township, and then we wouldn't be circumventing the contract that they were currently under. That's when Romeo Village said, well, come on back and talk to us. And I need to explain this was done in former administrations. I have complete respect for not only the property owner, but the current administration of Romeo Village. Gosh darn it. The reality of the contract we negotiated was that we were going to pay $40,000 for that utility service in our township. And once the administration at that time drafted the contract included paying for the service itself, paying for the product, the variable costs, the administration, the billing, the maintenance and everything, plus the $40,000. And at the time, I knew that was something I don't think I could turn on 6 businesses. Armada Township isn't built of a wealth of industrial area. We have 229 total acres in our industrial corridor. So even developed out, it's not a lot. Mr. Zukowski's been the majority owner of the property in the district for as long as I can remember. In order for us to make this work, if that contract would have gone through, it would have put the township at risk of bankruptcy, literally. It would have taken money from the general fund to a point, and the 6 businesses that would have been expected to pay that either would have closed up, moved, or we never would have sold another piece of property. It was just not a good thing for us to get into. So it was a financial reason why we had to get out of that, and it was really to save the taxpayers of the township as a whole, not just that district. So moving forward, the proposed annexation now causes a little bit of a conundrum for us. Again, it goes back to that long-term future. If Romeo Village is in the south end of our industrial corridor coming down Powell Road, and now Washington Township, they just built a new wastewater treatment plant, and they want to extend a pipe down to 32 Mile Road, and they just changed administrations as well, so they're scrambling on, how can they run it down to 32, and if they put in a lift station, can we use it? How would we get back through Romeo Village on the rest of our north side of that development to actually hook up to, if you will, Washington? Chester also owns a current sewer permit. Chet has been looking for sewer for a long time, and I respect that. He has a current open flow permit for the East Pond Creek. We talked to him about, well, I didn't, I was involved in trying to help Bruce Township talk about buying 10 acres of land and trying to build their own wastewater treatment plant there, because what Bruce Township found out is what I knew going into our special assessment. When they took on the 520,000 gallons of flow, once the properties in the industrial special assessment district run out of flow, and you have to tell somebody that's been paying the special assessment that I don't have that utility for you now, they could literally say, If I don't have that value to my land, I want my money back. So I don't have sewer. You said I had sewer. I'm paying into the special assessment. I'm paying on the $5 million we used to improve the plant. So give me my special assessment money back. And because their proposed total build out is over 1 million gallons, there's property owners in Bruce that have called me that are concerned that if Romeo Village isn't going to increase their demand, and it's been said that if they helped Armada Township out even with the subdivision, that there wouldn't be any additional flows, then they stand a chance of losing property, can't say losing, but having a portion of their property adjusted into Romeo Village, which in the long and short of things costs us millages. I'm losing $10,000 in emergency service funds. I'm losing my fire money, and I'm losing my ALS money. We don't have that kind of money. This is a big picture thing, and it's not that I don't want Chet knows I love the guy. We have our differences, and he's a good businessman, and he's shrewd at it, but there's more to this that affects Bruce, Ray, Washington, Armada, and Romeo Village than just one person that owns property wanting to develop it. This isn't a move by our whole industrial corridor. That contract was voted down the day that all of those businesses came in when we showed them the money part, including Chet, and said, get out of the sewer business. We can't pay that kind of money. We don't want to pay that kind of money. We don't want the service. That was directed to us by the business owners and the representatives of these corporations that were there. And that's what the board did, because it would have really put a whooping to them. So I'm not saying don't figure out a way. I'm not saying annexation or boundary adjustments are the right way or the wrong way. I'm just saying this could potentially cut us off from Washington and Bruce Township off from Washington, and or us from being able to develop a wastewater treatment plant on the property, because again, now it'll be in Romeo Village. And it's not even a good guy or bad guy thing. I like all these people. It's hard for me to be up here. But I have to do my job for our people. Our taxpayers that already invested $500,000. And all we got is one person on water. You know, that's where the township is. That's where my taxpayers are. Whew. Am I nervous?
You're doing fine, John.
Well, you know, there's more. And again, I encourage questions. And I encourage people to help us find a way for Chet to develop his property. That's not why I'm here. You know, I love these people. But this isn't a way to do it.
Thank you.
If I may, I'll be exceptionally brief because Mr. Patrick was very eloquent. My name
Pull
is
the
Chris.
microphone down to you, please. Thank you.
I definitely have that issue.
You're good. Go ahead.
My name is Chris Anderson. I represent Armada Township. And I would like to point out that the petition states that the reason for the petition is to supply water and sewer to the area. And as Mr. Patrick indicated, water is there. The developer just needs to bring the line to the property. The other reason for the petition is for future economic development. The property owner hasn't talked to Armada Township or presented anything to Armada Township with respect to what it wants to do with that property yet. I respectfully submit that these benefits can be obtained without annexation, without a boundary adjustment. Armada Township, got the water there 11 years ago. They jumped right in to partner with Bruce Township. They didn't hesitate. They have worked exceptionally hard to try and get sewer there. It just fell apart recently, and I think that was way more due to politics than it was the hard work. And as Mr. Patrick said, he has the utmost respect for the current administration of the Village of Romeo. So I don't think there's any reason why Armada Township should not be allowed to continue to work hard to find a way, an alternative, to provide sewer to this area. The northern Macomb communities absolutely need to work together and cooperate. Intergovernmental agreements are a great way to do that. That is the way they'll be successful. With that, I would respectfully request this commission deny the request for annexation and allow the township and the property owner and the other communities to work together to solve this issue.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard on the subject matter from the public? Hearing none. as a commissioner who's represented that area for 30 years, I know all the parties involved and all the communities involved. I've worked closely with them on all types of issues. But I've watched this section of property be talked about trying to be developed. And it's never happened. It's been tried, and there's an industrial area out there that is teed up, ready to go, and it has been teed up, ready to go for at least 10 years. And for whatever reason, the parties, for changing administrations, come and go, they could never put a deal together to figure it out. Village of Romeo, in my estimation, can provide those services that area very easily and cleanly. And we can get on with that section and develop that section of land the way it needs to be, the way it's zoned to be, the way that all communities intended that property to be used for. Now, who gets a piece of the pie? I mean, the annexation is the way to, has finally brought it to a head. And I've always encouraged negotiation, but they've been trying to do this for some time, and they haven't been able to do it. So the annexation comes before us today, and I support it because it'll get the development off the ground and create economic opportunity for the whole region. And so that's my position on it. Commissioner Farrington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I have 3 questions. I don't know who's best to answer them, so I'll just put all 3 out there. First of all, when the owners bought the property, how long ago was it, and did they understand that there wasn't sewer? So they purchased the property knowing full well there isn't sewer. Secondly, what is the cost to get sewer there if annexation didn't happen? And 3, is it accurate, as the last gentleman said, that Romeo was the one that blocked Bruce Township from providing the sewer services? I'd like answers to those 3 questions.
So
I can answer the 3rd question if you want.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
If we go in reverse order.
Yep, that'll work.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm a lawyer, so I'll probably give you a more involved answer than you wanted when you asked the question.
Shorter than the lawyers were heard the other day, so thank you.
But let me just jump in, and you can give me one of these when it's enough. With respect to the relationship between the Village of Romeo and Bruce Township, there's an agreement between those 2 parties, those 2 municipalities, whereby the Township of Bruce has guaranteed to it a certain percentage of the capacity for the village's wastewater treatment plant, 510,000 gallons a day. Or maybe it's 550,000 gallons. I apologize. The total capacity of the plant is 2.1 million gallons a day. That agreement was entered into, I believe, I did not bring that with me, I apologize for that. I believe that agreement was entered into in 2001. It may have been amended in 2003, or that may be the year in which it was originally entered into. And as a result of that agreement, the village expanded its wastewater treatment plant. And as part of that agreement, the township, Bruce Township, has no ownership interest in the plant. The village maintains complete ownership of the plant, is responsible for its proper functioning, getting all the permits, getting approvals from, I guess it's Eagle now, it used to be DEQ, and so forth. And as part of that agreement, there is a clause, a provision in there that says it's not assignable. That ability, that capacity that Bruce Township bought and is buying is non-assignable. So the long answer to your question is yes, the village, when the village was informed, I don't know if it was a formal exchange of information or one of these things you hear on the street, but when the village found out or heard or became aware that Armada was trying to avail itself, Armada Township, of some of Bruce Township's capacity, the village said no.
Okay, no, that's understandable. That's what I thought. So the clarification question on that then is, so then Romeo blocked, rightfully so under contract, the ability of Bruce Township to provide it to Armada, but you're more than willing to use that same capacity if it falls under your purview.
Yes, and just to flesh that out,
Thank
and
you.
again, if I'm giving you more, bring out the hook. But after that event, if you will, or that period of time when Armada was discussing with Bruce about sharing capacity, that's when the village and Armada, in fact, entered into an agreement for the village to provide sewer capacity to Armada. And that was done, it was amended twice. Once, both times, once to extend the date by which Armada Township had to comply. And the second amendment not only extended the date, but it extended or increased the capacity to which Armada would have been entitled. And it was Armada that walked away from that, not the village.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As far as the other two questions, do we know what the approximate cost is?
That'd be the owner.
The owners? That'd be great. What the approximate cost would be for the sewer and whether you knew that it had no sewer when you purchased the property.
Speaking to the mic and state your name for the
My
record.
name is Chester Zahowski, Zochowski. I'm not a lawyer.
Thank you.
I barely graduated high school. Sorry. This won't take long.
This will be clear and understandable.
I bought it around 85, I believe.
So you knew at the time that there was no sewer and now you're trying to develop the
there was no
land.
water and no sewer. Joan Parnagian was the township supervisor at the time.
Has there been any cost estimation on what bringing sewer in would cost the
Probably
development?
about $350,000 to bring the water and sewer across the street.
Well, the water's already there from what I
Right.
understand. So just another $350 for the sewer.
Well, if, should we be annexed into the village, I would assume, I guess this is a legal question, that I would use both Romeo water and Romeo sewer.
Right, but if annexation didn't happen, it would cost you or somebody $350,000 to bring sewer into your property.
I'm at right now the water is at 33 in Powell. I'm at real close to 32 in Powell, so it'd have to come at almost a mile down south.
So the
just before it
combination,
gets- so it'd be
did you get a cost on the combination of the two services?
I don't know what that number would be. No, I don't.
Does anyone know?
The water and sewer pipes from 33 mile to 32 mile were about 1.6 million.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
To answer my questions, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, it's good right enough. Commissioner Haw.
Thank you, Chair. Frank, if you could, I think I'll ask you.
Okay.
And we do know you're an attorney. I've heard the term, we've had a lot of meetings, annexation, boundary lines. Somebody suggested intergovernmental agreement. Somebody suggested even a different solution. You explained to us what transpires next if it's approved. What transpires next if it's not approved, is my question.
If you approve this, the village will be able to promptly supply services to this area and it can be developed. If you don't approve this, and I understand that would assume rather quickly, correct? If you don't approve this, it could take, who knows? There's no indication. I mean, and it would be extremely expensive for them to, as they mentioned, to add the services. So it would delay the development of this property if you don't approve.
Okay, procedurally, you said if we approve it, it goes to the state.
Yes.
Procedurally, if we turn this down, what happens next? Is it a group, sounds to me like this is, I heard 2001. So
Yes.
we're talking a 20-year discussion here, and there's been no resemblance of an agreement. Are we talking about another 20 years?
Again, it would take, it's hard to predict how fast property will be developed. I remember when they were talking about M59 and when it was a 2-lane road when I came out here. And I worked then when I was at O'Reilly's, it was a 2-lane road. So, they were trying to develop areas for years and there's issues that come up. And that's the problem, and the economy affects that. So basically you would be, if you don't approve this, there is, the property just sits there until the services are provided by the township.
Okay. As a former mayor, I can appreciate the local unit of government and the decisions that they have to make to represent their constituents And it sounds to me like there's been a lot of discussion, 20 years worth, and at this particular point, this is the conclusion that it's come to. Would you agree to that?
Yes, and in fact, like I say, I worked with the parties for a year on this. So when it first came up last year, we sat down and worked on it for another year.
Thank you. That's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. I want to substantiate something that was said, and I want to make sure that I got it correct. Anybody can answer this. Am I hearing that there's right now 229 acres of industrial property? Is that correct? Anybody can nod their head if I'm right, and if I'm wrong, tell me no. I'm seeing a nod that says yes, there is. So this is industrial property that for a long time has laid fallow as far as I could see. I see, this is my own personal opinion now. I see an opportunity here to develop it, regardless if he's going to use it all or part of it. Even if he uses part of it, I'm sure that'll bring other industrial people in there to utilize this. Why keep this thing empty as it has been for as long as it is? And it's zoned industrial, and it's a matter of sewer because the water is there. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a yes on this. Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. Commissioner Song.
Thank you, Chair. And this first question is probably for the owner. What is the environmental impact for this development?
Please come to the microphone so that we get your voice on the record.
I guess environmentally, right now we're on well and septic, and the reason we can't develop it, and probably to Commissioner Romano, is because our soils are so heavy up there, have a lot of clay, and so we have to have these monstrous septic fields. I mean, you know, generally the fields are larger than the buildings you can build. So I would say environmentally, we're going to go now into a wastewater treatment plant as opposed to using septic fields. So you'll have less impact on the environment, you know, being that it's treated versus through the soils.
Less impact?
Yes.
On the environment. And has this been tested for any brownfield? Because this is an industrial,
No,
existing industrial
This property
area.
was strictly a farm. It was just been farming. It's never been
Okay.
industrial before.
Well, I've been hearing that this is an industrial property, so.
It's an industrial
is it
area.
Industrial.
Zoned area, right.
Zoned?
Zoned, yes.
Okay, but there's no development there?
There are 4 buildings right on the south corner, southwest corner that there was some sand in that area. And I built that out, and I built my last building there about 98 maybe, last edition. But and the reason we're here, because it can't go any bigger because it's the heavy soils, and we just can't get septic fields.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Song. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Chair. Somebody help me out. Did I hear in there that this is the current property under discussion is part of a larger tract in Armada Township that's zoned industrial?
Yes.
And that taking this out of the Armada and moving it into the Romeo sphere would impede the development of the rest of that industrial area?
It potentially could keep us from running sewer south into a lift station that Washington Township is proposing.
Okay, and the Village of Romeo is clearly open, shall we say, to intergovernmental agreements because they have this agreement with Bruce. Has the Township of Armada and the Village of Romeo investigated an intergovernmental agreement so the property could stay in Armada Township but yet receive services from Romeo?
Not on that piece of property, no, sir. We did on.
Can you please speak, can you stand and speak in the microphone? Thank you.
I get my knee replaced in a couple of weeks here. Yes, we had an intergovernmental agreement, but it was for the entire district. We have not discussed an intergovernmental agreement to provide sewer to Chet's property at the south end.
When you say the entire district, is that the entire industrial or the entire
229
township?
industrial acres, yes.
And why hasn't that gone forward?
We weren't asked to consider an intergovernmental agreement for Chet's property with Romeo Village.
No, I mean, why hasn't it gone forward for the whole district?
Well, the district, when we had the original agreement in place, again, was so cost prohibitive for the cost of the service itself that the owners said that they didn't want to pay for it.
Well, I'm a little confused. If it was that cost prohibitive, how come it's not cost prohibitive for this smaller piece?
Because apparently Chet's paying for it or Romeo Village is paying for it. There's not going to be a special assessment there.
Okay, thank you.
You know, I'm assuming Romeo Village just said, you know, we'll provide service. If you annex into the village, we'll provide services.
Well, somebody must think it's economically worthwhile to build out, extend out the water and sewer from Romeo Village.
Yeah, I'm assuming that would be the property owner.
Can we hear from the property owner? Will you be paying the entire expansion, or will Romeo Village be paying some of that bill for that expansion?
I will be paying for the expansion.
Will that be structured such that it could be extended into the other sections of the industrial area?
I believe have to talk to the Romeo engineers, and they'll dictate the size of pipe they want to where I go with the, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Van Sickle. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. So just some clarity here. We have a handout in front of us, I believe from Armada Township. So is this what Armada Township has paid since 2010 with the intention of this project going forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And over that 10-year period, I'm going to use the big number here of Spalding Dedecker Engineering, $128,000 in costs. When was that paid?
Once the board was encouraged to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Romeo and Armada, which I didn't support, that threw into...
I'm sorry, sir, you have to stand. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Once at the business owner's request, the board approved the intergovernmental agreement with Romeo, that threw into effect Resolution 1. And there's 3 different resolutions the township has to go through in order to establish a special assessment district.
So what year was that $128,000 paid?
That $128,000 was paid 6 years ago.
Okay. So let's just say 2015 approximately, so halfway through.
Yeah, because again, really the whole thing started when we finally got water. I took office in 2008. And we had water in the township in 2010, and then we went through a process. And I do need to clarify something that you asked. The village didn't offer the intergovernmental agreement. Both of our boards, and this is a matter of record and minutes on both townships, both Bruce Township and Armada Township approved 425 agreement, which brought the village of Romeo back to us to work out an intergovernmental agreement as opposed to the 425 boundary adjustment, because then we wouldn't have been violating the contract. Could have been legally challenged, but it was really a win for economic development. That's what brought us back. And then the continued effort or the continued expenses of that project were because the property owner asked us to go forward. Once it was approved, we had to get the engineering done, we had to get the studies done. You can see on there we have easements that had to be done. It needed to go forward so that in Resolution 2, we could tell them how much the cost of the project was. When it came to the cost of the project in Resolution 2, that's when they said, you know, and I believe, and if I can quote Chet, he said, you know, Armada needs to get out of the sewer business because it was that expensive.
So then the next amount here, the $266,000 that was paid to the township of Bruce, what year was that done in?
That was in 2010 through 2010-11. That was when we paid for, there's a meter pit cost involved in that. That was to run the parallel 12-inch main so that we'd have a 16-inch main at the southeast corner or the northeast corner of 33 Mile Road in Powell. That was our partnership on water. And we have a current intergovernmental agreement that's with Bruce Township for water.
So basically, through 2015, approximately $400,000 of this total amount had been paid.
Yeah, pretty much.
And since then, nothing's been resolved. At least trying to make this happen.
Well, yeah, again, we had the contract in front of us, and it was put in front of the board. The property owners came in on Powell Road and said they didn't want it. They weren't going to pay that kind of money.
Under the impression that the amount of money that had already been invested would be lost.
Yeah, I don't think they were aware when they asked us to put the contract in place that we'd be out another almost $300,000 in engineering and easements, but we were obligated to do that based on the fact that the board approved the contract. Doesn't matter if it was 3-2 or 4-1. Once it was approved, we had to move forward with the project because I needed the numbers for resolution 2. And yeah, that's $479,000 out of our general fund. And now I'm going to lose $10,000 a year in emergency services money.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sabatini. Commissioner Zinner on the first round.
Thank you, Chair. Sir, what percentage of this property is in Armada? Is some of this property, this industrial property is in Armada?
The 229 acres is a zoned parcel, is a zoned area of our township that is zoned for industrial. It's all in Armada Township.
It's all in Armada.
Yeah, the whole 229 acres. It basically starts at south end of Chet's property where phase 1 is, and it goes to 33 Mile Road. But then we're backed up against the river. The East Pond Creek runs right back there, so the industrial district only goes back to the East Pond Creek, giving us about 229 acres of total area to develop.
So is it possible that is it possible that the owner could put the sewers through to that area, or is it impossible?
That would be up to the owner.
So it could be possible, it's not impossible.
Oh, no, yeah, we were able, our engineering and was going to have a lift station on the north side of 33 to service the Hidden River sub, which with water and sewer could have built 56 homes instead of 16 homes because they can do 2 3/4 homes per acre with utilities. And then it would be a downhill flow from 33 Mile Road to the interceptor. I do know that no matter what happens, that once they get over 50,000 gallons of flow into that interceptor, that there will need to be another lift station put in to go into Romeo because they were limited as to how much waste could go down that pipe into the lift station. So the pipe is already too small, and the lift station is already too small to handle more than 50,000 gallons a day.
So is my understanding that, from what was said here today, that Romeo or the village is going to, if the annexation goes through, they would put the sewer system that they have into the property, correct? Is that what I understand?
Into Chet's properties, yes. Not north into the township, no.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kleinfeld on the first round.
Thank you. Just very quickly, don't walk away yet.
Thank you. I didn't know if I was
John, I
going to
hope we
bother
don't
up
kill
here or
you.
not.
You've twice made reference to emergency funds that you'll be losing per year, the $10,000. Is that money that is paid by the owner of those parcels in taxes, or?
Yes, it is. It's in a advanced life support millage and a fire millage.
Okay, so he's paying that money in taxes on property that he cannot use for its intended purpose.
Actually, most of those taxes are coming from his developed property. The suggestion or the offer that he's doing is taking the developed land along with the undeveloped land, I think, except, as Mr. Kreese said, the pond guy, with him. And, you know, at the very least, I can understand the vacant land for development, but I'm losing already existing real properties that pay taxes on their building, which include our fire and hail S mills.
And I wouldn't even necessarily disagree with you, except we don't have that option in front of us. We have option A or option B. We don't have option C.
Right.
So-
Well, they could, you know, they could change their description the next time they come.
All right, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I went through this the last time, so I know the next time would be pretty similar to this time and the last time. Thank you, Chair.
And to make it more clear, that's the same concern that Bruce has and Washington has. If they lose property to annexation, they also charge fire mills, and those fire mills don't carry over. We'll get our 0.75 mills for our township, but any properties that are put inside of Romeo Village won't carry our special assessments from
Right.
any of the 3 townships.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners that wish to be heard? Commissioner Farrington, you're on the...
Thank you. Oh, you sat down again.
No, I came to answer the questions.
No, I appreciate it. Don't mean to make light of it. When you say special assessment, you're talking about the personal property tax, right?
No, this is real property. Personal property tax is kind of on its way out anyway, but...
But not for the special assessment.
Yeah, personal property is out
No, I wrote
except for
the law.
utilities. What's that?
I wrote that law.
Did you?
Yeah.
I know that was coming.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out, if it's the personal property tax special assessment on the property that's there, which is only for industrial, and that's why the zoning of residential and commercial don't matter. It has to be industrial for that. Which means not only do you lose the 10,000, any growth in the future you'd lose as well for special assessment.
If they were to increase their...
Right,
yeah.
or anybody that has the property. What year was it zoned industrial?
The master plan was like that before I took office, and I have to believe that if they were working on it back in 2001, when there was, I believe, a home developer involved in it, so it had to be prior to 2001.
So the property, and perhaps you could answer the question, it was bought as agricultural or industrial?
It was industrial when I bought it.
And that'll be, for the owner, you could probably just answer from there. Did I understand you correctly that you'd be flipping the bill of 1.6 million, not the Village of Romeo?
I don't think it won't be the 1.6.
I think you should come up to the microphone
Yes.
so we got it.
Longer answer than I thought. Thank you, sir.
But the 1.6 million was
Is if you did it.
to run both utilities from the 33 mile road
Yeah,
to
if you
32.
did it. Okay. Yes, please, sir.
And the question is?
So if we do approve it today, there's going to be a cost incurred, correct?
Correct.
Do you pay for that, or does the Village of Romeo pay for that?
I would pay for that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And-
That's all.
Can I make one
Sure.
clarification?
Absolutely.
I think, and I'm not sure exactly where you got your numbers, John, but the $10,000 that you would lose, that would be where the buildings are currently, and it's a condo association. The pond guy owns 51% of that land area in the condo association. So I don't know if the number's really 10, or it might be 5 that you'd be losing. You understand? The association is...
And that is in personal property tax, you're correct. I was
Yeah.
wrong on that.
Right.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Song, did you wish to speak? I saw
I
you on the
yield.
list and it
Thank you,
left.
Chair.
But thank you. Okay, anybody, any other commissioners? Okay, I need a motion then, without any further speakers, to close close the public hearing.
So move, Hall.
Support by Commissioner Ard. All those in favor, please vote. Well, please vote.
And those against, you're not allowed to vote.
No. I'm half stuck in the old ways, forgive me.
I do it all the time.
Chair, the system's not working at the moment. Can we do a voice vote?
Sure.
Thanks.
All those in favor of ending the public participation, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
See, you were seeing into the future is what it really was.
Maybe. All right, very good.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you.
Just clarification, is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? I know we were asking questions, but just as a secondary, I don't know if anyone else, based on the discussion that was
Well, I
had.
did offer if there was anyone else who wanted to speak. One more time, I'll ask, is there anyone from the public want to speak on the public participation under this subject? I don't see any. Okay. Thank you. We'll close that. Item 8 is resolution to approve or deny a resolution in order to termination of approving the Village of Romeo's petition for annexation for property from the Armada Township. I need a motion to adopt.
Motion by Romano.
Support by Nard.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this amongst us?
Yes, if
Commissioner Kleinfeld?
if that's not working, I think this one we need to do a roll call vote, I think for legal reasons.
Frank, is that correct? That'd be fine. I have no objection. So please call the roll.
Commissioner Farrington,
No.
Commissioner Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Commissioner Kraft,
No.
Commissioner Matuzak,
No.
Commissioner Nard,
Yes.
Commissioner Romano,
Yes.
Commissioner Sabatini,
No.
Commissioner Vansickle,
No.
Commissioner Wallace,
No.
Commissioner Song,
No.
Commissioner Zinner,
No.
Commissioner Haw,
Yes.
Chair Brown.
Yes.
Eight to 5.
What's the vote?
Motion fails 8 to 5. Commissioners Farrington, Kraft, Matuzak, Sabatini, Vansickle, Wallace, Song, and Zinner voting no.
Okay, very good. Motions failed. Next item is number 9, proclamations. Proclamation offered in remembrance of Bishop Willie T. Boone, offered by Commissioner Zinner. Commissioner Zinner is going to make a proclamation presentation to the family.
Chair, did this go through committee?
I think it was sent directly here.
That's a problem.
Did not.
Commissioner Zinner? Before we actually have the proclamation, because this didn't go through committee, I think we have to have the discussion on it.
Oh, do we have to sit down? I'm sorry.
I need a motion to approve this proclamation.
Support Van Sickle.
Any discussion on the resolution? Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Okay, a couple of things now. First of all, there are 2 proclamations at the end, and I thought that they both went through committee. Is that correct? Did both of those proclamations? That's what I thought. Both of those proclamations went through committee. There was just a little disagreement about that, so I wanted to correct that.
Commissioner, there was one that didn't go through committee in the second portion. That's what you're referring to. Sorry, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll have the discussion on that one when we get down to it then. All right, so with respect to this proclamation, there's 2 things that caught my attention on it, and that's why I was surprised that it didn't go through committee, because that averts this situation that has just occurred. The first is we have all sorts of proclamations honoring churches, honoring pastors, bishops, and everything else. No problem with any of those. This is the first one I've ever seen. Whereas God has endorsed his manservant, the preacher, a man with a messianic call, a messianic purpose, and a messianic mandate. This is the first resolution I've ever seen that this board is passing stating what God's position is on anything. So that was a bit of a shock to me. The second one is I'd like to do this resolution, and I don't mind you presenting it here, but I'd like to do a rewrite of it. And the reason I'd like to do a rewrite of it is this proclamation speaks to the individual in the present and in the past. This proclamation says that he's currently serving as the first administrative assistant to Bishop James. I don't want to hand a proclamation over to anybody that speaks to somebody currently serving and also deceased at the same time. I was pretty surprised when I read this proclamation. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and allow the presentation, but I'd like to give us the opportunity to clean this proclamation up before giving the final version. And possibly, maybe the final version could be presented actually at the church in which he presided. Is that maybe a...
Commissioner Kleinfeld, that's the purview of Commissioner Zinner, who's offering the resolution. Those are her choices, right? I mean, it's not...
Actually, Commissioner, we vote on this.
Well, I do vote on it, but I mean, it just seems a little, unseemly to bring these things up in front of the family here. I mean,
actually, that's why I'm trying to offer a solution that would not be offensive to the family.
All right.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate that.
The last I saw, I still had the floor.
Yeah.
You can take the floor when it's your turn and express your opinion to me, but you can't shut me down because you disagree with my opinion.
Okay,
You don't
well,
want
are
to
you
go
done?
there. We've been through this one before, Chair.
Yes.
So I was trying to offer a solution that the family would be happy with. We could get a presentation today and pictures. We could clean it up so that he's not currently serving something and dead at the same time, and we could remove the fact that we're saying what God's opinion is. If everybody agrees with me, that's great, and if they don't, and then it would be great to be able to give the final presentation at the actual church. That's my position. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Zinner, what
Well,
would you like to do?
I'm sorry that I missed that particular sentence. This was given to the board to be presented, and this particular wording is very specific to this person. I don't know this person. This has nothing to do with me personally, first of all, in case anyone's wondering. And if this is what this person, how this person was interpreted, this is important to this person, I don't think that we should be making judgments on this. I don't think this should be a problem for the Macomb County Board.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I missed the one sentence that's improper. And I'm sorry to the family that I missed the one sentence that's written improperly. I'm very sorry. So they're here. I think it should be presented, and I vehemently apologize that this situation has happened to you. I can't apologize enough to you.
Well, we can vote to approve this as it is, and those that object can vote no, and then you can present it.
We will see what the board says.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else wish to speak on this, on the first round? Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, just for clarity here, was this in committee or was this put on this agenda for approval?
Put on this agenda.
Okay. So, my thought is that the maker could amend or could leave it as is for a vote. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. Just for clarity here. So I'll defer it back to the maker of the proclamation.
Commissioner Zinner, do you wish to make any amendments to the language? We can amend the language after you present it to them with the amended language if you so choose.
I would like to amend the language and
right.
hand them another certificate at another time, but I would like to do this today while they are here.
Okay. So we'll make
If it's possible.
We'll approve it as amended with the amendments.
I'll support the amendment.
Okay.
We're approving it with the intent that it's going to be amended.
Yes.
I'll second that support.
Veronica, if you can make sure the language is right.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Zinner would have to make that amended language.
I would be happy to amend the language that is confusing in regard to Bishop Toone being, not being alive at this time. That's what I would move,
Okay.
to present it now.
All right. Any discussion on that? All right, please vote. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
I think you need support for that amendment.
I actually, okay, that's not an amendment because she's not specifically amending. There's not one section. One of my issues with this is there are several sections. Was this not written by a member of our staff? Was it?
Yes, it was.
It was. Okay, so there is also the section where it says God has endorsed, it says Bishop Toon values the authority in the Word of God. It is also in the present. There are several references in the present and the past. That's why I suggested we make a presentation, but we actually fix this for their final copy.
Thank you.
And because I don't think you can just say, I make an amendment, but not say what the amendment is, and we're voting on an amendment that's not actually stated.
Point of order. I think, Commissioner, my suggestion was a friendly amendment, friendly revision to the actual proclamation so that it could be presented today.
And since you've left, there was a determination there's no such thing as a friendly amendment.
Well, I guess I have to read up on my board rules.
That was something that the previous board used that never really was a thing.
Okay.
So why don't we have a motion to temporarily approve the current one with pending changes? You give your presentation, we work together, we clean it up, and we do a final version where we vote on at the next one, and you give them the final version. Can we just make a motion to temporarily approve for the purpose of presentation and you being able to speak and them being able to be here and all of that? It's just a suggestion.
Commissioner Zenner,
Yes.
that's your call.
Yes, yes, that is, can I just take her words? Can we just use her
Yeah.
words? Thank you. That's what I would
All
like to
right,
do.
Very good. Please vote. Commissioner,
Chair, point of order. I don't know what a temporary vote is.
so we're approving a resolution on a temporary basis until the wording can be amended.
We're approving within the motion acknowledging there's going to be changes made to it.
I'm sorry, I still don't understand what a temporary vote is.
Okay.
We're voting for something for an hour and then we're taking it away? Someone explain to me.
Yep. Okay.
Well, okay, may I make another offer? How about a motion to approve the proclamation with a motion to approve the proclamation pending changes that will be made, that will be approved at the next board meeting?
Yes.
I'm trying, guys.
Well,
Chair Brown?
yes.
I'm just wondering what exactly is, can we state right now what exactly is the problem with the proclamation? Because, I'm quite sure you know exactly what problem you have with it. So what are the problems that you have with it so that we'll know when we vote what we're actually going to be changing? I would like to know what we're going to be changing before I vote on
I think she stated
a
that
change.
clearly, what the problem was.
Well, she said there were several things, so I need to know what those several things are.
Well,
Because some of the things I don't disagree with, so that's why I'm wondering what things is she disagreeing with, so I can be in line with, with what I'm going to be voting on.
I believe she said that previously. If Commissioner Clavel wants to state it again, it's up to her.
Okay, I will go through then. The first one is Bishop Willie T. Boone. The second sentence is currently serving as the first administrative assistant to Bishop James Whitehead and superintendent of the Greater Metropolitan District in the Michigan Southwest 2nd Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction Church of God and Christ. That's the first one. Huh? He's currently serving, that's the issue. I have no problem with the fact that he served, it's that he's currently serving. That's the issue. The second one is, okay, that's past tense. Whereas God has endorsed his manservant to the preacher, a man with Messiah call, the second sentence says, Bishop William B. Toon values the authority of the Word of God and centrality of the church, the worth and dignity of the individual, the priority of servanthood and the practice of integrity and the responsibility of stewardship. I think you could change that to Bishop William B. Toon stood for, or something
I'm
of
not going to
that.
change that. I'm not changing that.
Point of order.
It says,
Mr.
Chair, I know Commissioner Nard asked a question. I know Commissioner Kleinfeld's answering it. Commissioner Zinner's over here saying no.
okay.
Commissioner Farrington made a suggestion that we approve the proclamation with the intent that it be revised at a later date and presented to committee. To me, that's the only thing I've heard that makes sense in the last 10 to 20 minutes.
That's right.
This is a proclamation we're talking about here.
It's honoring a family, and what's effectively
Commissioners-
going on is that the family's being disrespected because people want their own attentions instead of looking out after the interests of the family.
Chair, I still have the floor.
I'm sorry,
Commissioner Zinner is trying to do a wonderful,
Yes.
appropriate thing for which I thank you, Barb. So, if we're looking for resolution, Commissioner Farrington made a suggestion that we approve this for presentation tonight, knowing it's going to be changed at a later date. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I
Then
do.
I would like you, as the presenter of the proclamation, I don't want to be overzealous here, to make that motion.
I would like to present this proclamation to the family, redo some of the wording that is grammatically incorrect, and then present them with the proclamation that is properly worded.
And I
at a
support the
later date.
motion.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
I support that.
Very good.
Just one more
Any
thing,
more
Chair.
discussion, Commissioner
Just one
Kleinfeld?
more thing. There's a
Point of
reason.
order, I'm on the list here to speak for the first time. Thank you, and I would like to call the question. Thank you.
Very good.
Yes, thank you. Call question.
Thank you.
Let's vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Now vote on the main motion. Please call the vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Motion's been approved. You may present your resolution,
Proclamation.
proclamation.
That's all I was going to say. And I'm going to say it under new business. This isn't on me. This is on the process.
What just happened now? Don't tell me I did it.
We're doing 50%. Everything used to go through committee and then it's not happening right now. Everything used to go through committee.
Just a minute. I have to wipe my eyes. The Board of Commission. The Board of Commissioners, official proclamation of the Board of Commissioners, Macomb County, Michigan, a proclamation offered in remembrance of Bishop Willie B. Toon. Commissioner Barbara Zinner, on behalf of the Macomb County Board of Commissioners, offers the following proclamation. Whereas The quality of a community is directly related to the quality of those offering their attention, knowledge, and services to the public. And whereas the aforesaid attributes aptly describe the late Bishop Willie B. Toone, who was installed as the pastor of the North End Church of God in Christ on Sunday, September 21st, 2003, by Bishop Earl J. Wright Sr., presiding prelate of the 2nd Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction, Southwest Michigan. And whereas Bishop Willie B. Toone was drafted into the United States military in 1965 and was promoted to Sergeant E5 in the 82nd Airborne Division. His additional professional accomplishments include a professional licensed real estate agent since 1975 and a tool and die maker supervisor in the automotive industry for General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford Motor Company for the last 40 years. And whereas Bishop Willie B. Toone has served in various outreach ministries, community services, and in numerous positions in the local, district, and jurisdiction. Most outstanding is that Bishop Willie B. Toone served as assistant pastor of the Greater Miller Memorial Church of God in Christ for 25 years. Whereas Bishop Willie B. Toone was elevated to the office of auxiliary bishop in November of 2018. Currently serving as the first administrative assistant to Bishop James L. Whitehead, Jr., and superintendent of the Greater Metropolitan District in the Michigan Southwest 2nd Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction Church of God in Christ. And whereas God has endorsed his manservant, the preacher, a man with a messianic call, a messianic purpose, and a messianic mandate, Bishop Willie B. Toone values the authority of the Word of God, the centrality of the church, the worth of dignity of the individual, the priority of servanthood, the practice of integrity, and the responsibility of stewardship. And whereas Bishop Willie B. Toone served as chairman of pastors and elders, Council 2nd Jurisdiction, Southwest Michigan Church of God in Christ. Bishop Willie B. Toone authored 2 books, was a songwriter of America We Need Obama, funded the program Adopt a Young Parent America, and was a substitute teacher in Macomb County Public Schools. And whereas Bishop Willie B. Toone has been married to the beautiful missionary Roberta Toone for 49 years and is the father of 6 children, grandfather of 7, and 2 great-grandsons. And whereas it is fitting and proper that the late Bishop Willie B. Toone be remembered and recognized by this board for his selfless contributions and distinguished years of service to the citizens of Macomb County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Commissioners, speaking for and on behalf of all county residents as follows, that by these presents, the Macomb County Board of Commissioners joins with the residents of the community in Macomb County and the family and friends of the late Bishop Willie B. Toone to publicly acknowledge and honor Bishop Willie B. Toone for his years of dedicated service. Be it further proclaimed that a suitable copy of this proclamation be presented to the family of the late Bishop Willie B. Toone in testimony of the high esteem in which he is held by the Macomb County Board of Commissioners. It is my honor and privilege to give you this, and we'll make it better when we're through together. Now we turn around here. Did you have someone want to take a picture of this? I'll send you some. I'll send you one. Did you want? I'll talk to the families. Is it okay if I take a picture with you?
Come on. Thank you, thank you.
I'm going to go out with you for a minute.
Thank you. We also have another family here that's here to receive a proclamation, Paige Greaves. Without objection, I'd like to move item 18A up to the next item on the agenda, if there's no objection, given the family's here and they're here.
I'll make that motion.
Very good.
Support.
Thank you.
Support.
Need a motion to approve Proclamation 18A.
Matusik moves.
Support Song.
Motion made, support. Any discussions? Commissioner Matusik, would you want to say anything before we pass this?
It's a wonderful opportunity to be able to honor someone who lives in my district but teaches in the Warren Consolidated Schools, who teaches special ed, and who has been recognized by the Michigan Association of School Workers as the State School Social Worker of the Year. That's very impressive.
Outstanding.
So I am honored to put together this resolution to come before you, and I would love the opportunity to present it to the family.
Let's approve it, and you can present it. Please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Very good. Commissioner Matusik, you present.
And if my colleagues who also are on this would like to join me, Commissioner Nard.
Commissioner Nard, Commissioner Romano.
And Mr. Romano.
I want you up there to present.
As I said, she lives in my district, but she teaches in the other district that spans three other. She lives in a great area, but she teaches in an equally great area. So, so you want to stand over here? This is the official proclamation. I'm not going to read it all because you all have been sitting here a long time. But congratulations on being awarded the Social Worker of the Year. That's a really impressive thing.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you so much.
You didn't eat good for that.
I got 3 weeks in my...
3 weeks, all right. Well, go home and rest.
Thank you very much.
Just because they're not here.
Yeah, but why not 18B?
Thank you. Because just they're here. Don't anybody object.
I just saw that ask.
Okay, thank you. Item
Sorry
10.
for the wait.
Thank you, Commissioner Matusik and Commissioners. Thank you. Thank you. Item 10 is appointments. 10A, Board of Canvassers appointments. 2 vacancies, 1 Democrat, 1 Republican to a 4-year term to set to expire October 31st, 2025. First candidate is Republican candidate Nancy Tizzo, and then second, so we'll have a vote on the Republican nominee. Any discussion? Tizio.
Do you need a motion, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Support Farrington.
Very good. Any discussion on that? Commissioner Matusek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has absolutely nothing to do with Ms. Tizio. I am sure she's a fine human being and will do a great job. But as a member of the State Board of Canvassers, I'm going to vote no on this. We hear before us all the time people coming up here talking about election integrity. That's what I do in Lansing as part of the State Board of Canvassers. The law is very clear that the party shall submit 3 names, and we choose one of them. It has been said to me before that, well, the Democrats only submitted 1. Well, they didn't do it while I was on this board. And I would have objected at that point. It is not Republican or Democrat. I have thrown off the ballot the only Democratic candidate in a congressional district because they didn't follow the rules. I've thrown off judges. I have thrown off state reps and state senators. So this is, again, not about Ms. Tizio. It is about the party not following a law that is very clear, and I cannot vote for this candidate. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, Commissioner Song.
Thank you, Chair. So likewise, I think that it would be important for the party to submit 3 candidates so that we could choose from. So I'm going to abstain from this vote. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Commissioner Zinner.
Unfortunately, I only heard part of what was being said, but in regard to that, I believe the wording is shall. Is that correct? In regard to the wording is shall submit three parties.
I'm not.
Point of clarification. Shall in legal terms is must.
Well, I didn't look it up in a legal book, but.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Constantly in tax law, we had to do it.
Very good.
Webster's dictionary probably, yeah, I don't know what Webster's, but the dictionary I used did not say, they had 2 different dictionaries. I mean, they had 2 different.
Yeah, it's shall or may are the 2 terms. Shall is must, may is you have the option.
Okay. All right. Are you done, Commissioner? Are you done, Commissioner Zinner?
Well, if this board would allow just one person to be presented, then it is it the fault of the board to not make sure that there would have been 3 presented? I mean, did this board?
It's the party makes the submittals. Attorney? That's right.
Double duty today, Frank.
Well, that's okay. I think I'm here for another issue too, and I'll leave after that, so. But shall is a mandatory obligation.
Microphone.
Shall is a mandatory obligation under law. I argued that in the Supreme Court a couple of years ago for the county. It's pretty clear. Mandatory obligation, there's no discretion. May is the term that's used. So the statute, I looked at it at committee, but I didn't look at it here. But the bottom line, though, is you do have a duty to appoint, and so those are counterbalancing things. You could require the party to submit the names. A suggestion was made back then, but that didn't happen. So here we are.
There's past precedent, isn't there, for one? There's past precedent that the board in the past has received one name from one of the parties and it was approved without a question. Is that correct?
Yeah, but precedent of the board is not legal precedent. Legal precedent is a court that's a binding decision, an appellate court typically in a published opinion. The term precedent is used kind of loosely. I'm not aware of this board doing that with one candidate, and what would happen if this was challenged, I don't know. I mean, it would be kind of, it's an easy fix. I know that. If there's a problem, which is, I think, what the court would do is they go back and fix it. But The statute does say must. I would recommend that the parties follow the law. They comply with the letter of the law. When the law says you must do something, you shall do something, you do it. And it's not that hard to do. I think the Democrats submitted 3 names in this instant. The Republicans submitted 1.
So what's your recommendation? Do you recommend that we hold this appointment till they submit 2 other names and then we vote for the same person that's here?
What I'll tell you is that I will fully defend whatever decision you make today in court.
I love that. I like to hear that. Very good. Okay. Well, on the advice of counsel, we'll push this, we'll hold this
There are
until...
speakers, Chair.
Yes, I know. Well, I'm speaking right now, and I think that's my recommendation is that we postpone this until next. But Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you. Disagree. I believe this is time sensitive. And I think the way we rectify this is we make an assistance in the future that they do provide 3 names and let them know if they don't provide 3 names that we will not be making an appointment. But I think we have 2 competing things. We have an obligation, we've got an election coming up, and we have an obligation to have all these things in place. So that's a legal obligation on our part. If I'm going to leave it sit that somebody didn't satisfy something, I'd rather that it be them instead of me. So I'm going to fulfill this obligation and appoint her and try to correct it for the future. Thank you.
Very good. I agree with that. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask a question, but independent counsel already answered that question, and I'll keep the motion on the floor.
Thank you. Commissioner Matuzik. Commissioner Romano on the first round.
Okay.
We'll get you on the second.
I just want to offer a point of clarification about procedure,
Yes.
if I can do that.
Go ahead, please.
We cannot wait and ask them to resubmit names. The deadline for doing that was September 1st. If this body chooses not to vote for this person, the selection then goes to the clerk, Mr. Fellini, who can select who he chooses.
Well, we don't want to do that. Oh, thank you. Commissioner Romano.
Tony likes that.
Thank you, Chair. Believe it or not, I'm going to agree with Commissioner Kleinfeld. Let's get this thing on the road, huh?
Thank you.
And that's why we have Mr. Creasy out there to defend anything that we vote on. Thank you.
Thank you. No other speakers on the first round. Please vote.
What are we voting for exactly?
We're voting for Mrs. Tissio.
Motion passes 11 to 1 to 1, with Commissioner Song abstaining, Commissioner Matuzak voting no.
Very good. Thank you.
I believe we have to have the reason for abstention stated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please go ahead, Commissioner Song.
I did state my reason, but I'll repeat it again. I am abstaining because I would prefer for the party to submit 3 names and not 1.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Item 10, 10A, Democratic candidates. We have 3 names: Michelle DeBozart, Sheila Strunk, and Linda Koch. If I pronounce that right.
Coke.
Please call the roll and the persons with their names.
Commissioner Farrington,
Michelle DeBozart.
Commissioner Kleinfeld,
DeBozart.
Commissioner Kraft,
Michelle DeBozart.
Commissioner Matuzak,
DeBozart.
Commissioner Nard,
DeBozart.
Commissioner Romano,
Linda Cook.
Commissioner Sabatini,
DeBogart?
Commissioner Vansickle,
DeBozart?
Linda Cope.
Commissioner Wallace,
DeBozart.
Commissioner Song,
DeBozart.
Commissioner Zinner,
Linda Koch.
Commissioner Hall,
DeBozart.
Chair Brown.
Michelle DeBozart.
So we have, let's see. I'm sorry, 9 for DeBozart, 4 for Koch.
Very good. Thank you. Item 11, receive and file items approved at committee. Item 11A, Resolution 2021-7158, resolution approving social welfare special revenue fund deficit elimination plan and budget amendment in compliance with Act 140 of Public Acts 1971. Steve Schmiegel, Director's here to address that. If he's here. Nope. Not here. This was approved at committee.
I'd like to make the motion to receive and file, Chair.
Support.
Okay. Is there a discussion on that? Let's see. I see no discussion. Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Item 12, Public Services Committee recommendations. Items waived by the committee chair. Budget amendment for Planning Economic Development Grant Fund 361, Transportation Equity and Sustainability Infrastructure Grant for $35,000. This is a Jerry Santorf, Program Director from Land and Water Resource Group, is here to answer any questions that we have. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve, Chair.
Support by Nard.
Support. Is there any discussion on this item? Let's see. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Okay, item 12B, item waived by committee chair for purchase of signature Ford for 3 2022 F-150 trucks and 1 2022 F-350 for a cost of $117,453. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve, Chair.
Support Matusek.
Is there any discussion on that item? Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, the reason these, specifically this one, why it was waived by committee, was there like an emergency situation?
If I may, Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
No, it was supposed to be on the committee yesterday, and we canceled committee yesterday because there's only a couple items.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I don't see any speakers on the list. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
All right, thank you. Item 12C, item waived by committee chair, cost-sharing participation agreement with the city of Sterling Heights for 19 Mile Road flashing beacons. There's no cost to the county.
Motion to approve, Romano.
Support by Nard.
No question.
Okay, any questions? I don't see any speakers on the list. And I apologize, sometimes some of these people punched in and I didn't see, like Commissioner Crafter, he said he made a motion. I didn't pop up on my screen, so sometimes I don't know why, but they didn't show up on my stand. So if I miss you, I'm sorry. Just speak up, please. I see no speakers. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
All right. Item 12D, item waived by committee chair for contract to MDOT traffic signal modernization, total cost of $1,145,246. County cost is $136,162.80 from the Department of Roads. I need a motion to approve item D.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Support by Nard.
Is there any discussion on this? Commissioner Song.
Thank you, Chair. Is there someone here who could answer our questions? Wonderful.
Yes, John Crump from the Department of Roads is here.
Not getting off so easy today, huh? I guess not. I saw in the contract, NEMA cabinet. What is that? NEMA?
That's the type of cabinet that we use at the side of the road for all the
So,
computer technology.
like the
that
gray
runs
boxes?
traffic. Yeah.
Like the little gray boxes?
It's the black box.
Black box.
Black box.
Okay, got it, thank
And
you.
each one has a number.
Okay. And then my next question is regarding the video detection. Is there an added cost to the county for installing this video detection long-term? For, for operating or storing footage?
We do not store footage. We just do video. It's just run
It's
continuously.
like a live feed?
It's a live feed. And
So-
it is sent into our traffic operations center for the people to adjust the timing on traffic lights when necessary.
Okay, so that's the only purpose that it serves then?
That's correct.
Is to adjust the traffic?
To adjust traffic to see if there's an accident, to notify first responders. So
Okay,
it's,
you can't store that for,
we do
let's
not
say there's
store
an
it.
accident or
No,
can't go back and look at it?
no.
Okay, so is there additional costs associated with staff viewing this footage? Because it's going to be like another monitor or two.
No, the monitors are already in place. This is just another camera. We have existing cameras already out in the county. It's just an additional cameras out in different locations, different intersections where we have more congestion or situations where accidents have occurred. We prioritize those.
Do these video monitors have the capacity to view license plates in a high def or facial recognition?
I mean, you could see, it's hung up on the traffic, by the traffic light, and whatever's in view you can see. So yes, you can see the license plate.
Okay, how about face drivers?
I imagine you can, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Song. Thank you, Commissioner Song. Commissioner Sabatini.
John, two more questions, actually. What's the cost breakdown on this? I know what our cost is. Who's paying the other amounts? It's basically a little over $1 million in cost.
That would be the Michigan Department of Transportation.
The full amount, the million?
Yes.
Okay. And then, is our portion coming out of the roads budget?
That's right. This is all paid for by Michigan Transportation Funds, not by the county. There's not county funds in it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
All right. Item 13A, Government Oversight Committee recommendations, a contract, ULIS Employee Assistance Program Services for $55,000. Need a motion to approve.
So moved by Nard.
Hall.
Moved by Commissioner Hall, supported by Commissioner Nard. Discussion on this? Don't see any. Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Item 14A.
Chair, if these are committee recommendations and there's no objection, I would move to approve 14A through H.
Thank you, Commissioner Kleinfeld. Is there support for that? There's motion made and support. Does anyone wish to separate any of these items? Do I have any questions on any of those items? I don't see any. Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Internal Service Committee recommendations, item 15A through 15H. Maybe someone wants to make a similar motion as Commissioner Kleinfeld on the last one.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for items 15A, B, C, D, and E.
Okay. Anyone wish to-
Support.
Support for that? Is there any discussion on any of those? Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you, Commissioner Kraft, for that. Item 15F.
Suggest we take F and G together?
Is that a motion to
Yes.
approve? Okay, is there support for that?
Support by Nard.
Okay. F and G, is there, need a, motion is made and supported, discussion on that? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Chair, is H related to that as well? Is it F, G, and H, or is H separate?
Well, Maker said F and G. Did you want to include H as well? Mr. Van Sickle?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion is approve F, G, and H.
Support by Nard.
Support, any discussion on that? Anyone?
Mr. Chair, I was just asking that question. I wasn't sure if they all are related or are they not? Not asking the motion maker to combine H in there. I just was for clarity there. Is that totally separate?
I think they're all part of the same item.
Okay, thank you.
Please vote.
Motion passes 12-1. Commissioner Van Sickle voting no.
Okay. Item 15I, budget amendment, capital improvement fund, Vic Word surveillance system, $49,700. Need a motion to approve?
Motion to take I and J together and approve.
Okay. Supported by Commissioner Haw. A discussion on this item? Let's see. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. We talked about this a little bit in committee. I had some questions in regards to the surveillance system and just questioning, what was the need there? Have we looked at this, our surveillance system in general across all of our buildings in the county? Doesn't seem that we have. And I just feel at this point, rather than just doing one building, I think it would make more sense to basically have the county do an RFP possibly, to have either whomever do an analysis on all of our buildings to see if we do have surveillance on all the buildings. I know this was something that was either missed or unknown, and there were some issues there that came about, and that's how it generalized. So my thought is to move this back to committee, in my opinion, and to see if, I believe this was through IT that brought this to us, if that's a better scenario for us to look at in that manner.
Thank you. Commissioner Matuzik.
I totally agree. As it stands, I'm voting no on this. A couple of reasons. It continues to be a no-bid contract. After the newspaper article that came out about this, I was personally contacted by 3 companies in Macomb County wanting to know how to bid on this. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. But my second, and perhaps more, the one that really ticks me off, I have to say, is we got a reply about the issues involved here, because we were trying to get the scope of the issues. What we got were the rules and regulations that says the doors need to be locked. We got an inspection report that checked yes, that there was an inside surveillance and an outside surveillance theme. And then we got how much was missing, and what we got was a number of $1,200 with no time frame associated with it. So I don't put that on Jaco, who's coming about technology, but someone from the warehouse needs to come and tell me what the problem is and the extent of the problem, and throwing up surveillance cameras at $50,000 on a no-bid contract is a hard no for me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you, Chair. I completely agree with Commissioner Matuzak. The no bid thing was an issue with me the first time around, and then when we got the email saying $1,200 worth of food or whatever was the issue for a $49,000 security system, it just doesn't add up. I mean, what are we doing? What's going on? It really didn't make sense, and I did have a question of this building. Are there any other departments or anything else in this building, or is it just the food bank? Because I believe it's a very large building, so that brought up questions to me as well. But I agree that it needs to go back. It needs to make sense. I mean, for the amount of money that they're asking, it has to make sense. So, and it doesn't right now. So, that's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. Commissioner Romano.
Commissioner Sabatini hit it on the head. Back to committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. I was actually at a NACO meeting when this discussion took place, so I didn't know if anything was raised in committee. All I knew from reading this is that it says a no bid exemption has been approved. Did they give any information as to who approved the no bid exemption and why?
I can answer that because that was my question. Yeah, basically they responded that because they've done the alarm systems elsewhere, so they felt comfortable with them. I followed up with the question of, are the alarm systems tied in together with this building and other buildings? They said no.
They feel very comfortable with them all the time because of what they've done before. Thank you.
Seems to be a consensus so far, the speakers, that they want this sent back to committee. I asked the maker of the motion, would you wish to withdraw your motion and change that to refer back to committee? For you, for Commissioner Van Sickle?
Yes. I move that we move this back to committee.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Commissioner Haw?
I would withdraw my support and refer it back to committee as well.
Very good, thank you. All right, the motion's been made and supported to send it back to committee. Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Okay, thank you. Item 16, Records and Public Safety Committee recommendations. Items 16A through 16F.
We'll make a motion for items 16A through
16F.
J, which was Records and Public Safety.
But your comment of that, we could approve them in committee. I don't want to have anybody from a family or an organization show up for the first time that we go through a proclamation. I don't care whether it's committee or wherever. I'm not going to go through this again. This was an embarrassment. So we should always have a private, you know what I mean for private. It's a public meeting, but a private discussion first before we bring anybody associated with a proclamation in. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to welcome the junior leadership. Adelia is here, Wallace, who is the daughter of Antoinette Wallace. Adelia, stand up so we can see who you are. Don't hide back there. Stand up. There you go.
All right.
There you go, Joe.
There you are. All right. That's all I got for you. Thanks, Commissioner.
She comes from good stock.
Is that enough?
She's
Is that
half as good as her mother.
embarrassing
She's
enough?
going to go a long way. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow up on notes, I know Commissioner Kleinfeld had said this earlier in regards to friendly amendments. So years ago, we used to be able to make friendly amendments kind of on the fly. Seems like a lot of good things we had with this board years ago when I was on it have disappeared. So just saying. I guess coming back, we have to make some more changes. But, we used to just make friendly amendments on the fly as needed and move on with business. I don't know how that disappeared. If it's not allowed, if it was removed from our board rules, maybe it needs to be put back in our board rules. But just a thought, we can talk offline about that. But just so the commissioners, when I said friendly amendments, that's what I was referring to. So, thank you, Chair.
The friendly amendment wasn't always so friendly to the people that didn't like it. Thank you. Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, again, like most, welcome the junior leadership of Macomb. I wanted to thank the leaders of the junior leadership of Macomb for all that they do for our youth, organizing all the events and making sure, the kids get where they need to be. Very detailed. It's a great opportunity for our youth. So definitely keep that in mind if you know any upcoming juniors in high school that could benefit from this. And Commissioner Kraft, she did not have a ride home. I am her ride home, which is why she's still here. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to all the help that you give, the support for those students, and you're creating tomorrow's leaders. So you're getting to see leaders in action here, and you probably figure there's a lot of room for improvement. But we'd like to give you a good handful when you come up here to see and take back to your colleagues. So, but we hope to see you back, and hope you think good things about us. All right. We'll close public. Anyone else on any more comments? Okay, we'll close public comment. Public participation. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Please come up. You have 3 minutes to speak on anything you like.
I just want to thank each of you guys for your service. We appreciate you just as a citizen. I live in Sterling Heights, so I appreciate everybody up here, your voices, your opinions. I appreciate it's just awesome to watch. Every time we've come, it's been something crazy. Like MSU one year was going to lose their funding. Right, yeah. This time, it's always great. And usually we do, unfortunately, have more students, but with COVID, we made this one optional this year. But we appreciate you guys always hosting us, and your staff is amazing. So thank you guys for the work that you do, your service. Thank you for supporting Leadership Macomb and Junior Leadership Macomb, and thank you for the kind words. And you guys have a happy Halloween, beautiful Thanksgiving, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else under public participation wish to be heard? Anybody else? Seeing no one, will close public participation. Motion by Commissioner Romano. Is there support?
Song.
By Commissioner Song. Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Thank you. Happy Halloween.
Made me do it.
By the way, I know it's